can be an empath and I can also run a company and manage people and not be depleted. After pulling these things together, I just immediately wanted to share all of it with everybody in a way that maybe I haven't expressed it in the past. I'm Kris Plachy. If we haven't met before, I coach female entrepreneurs on how to lead and manage their teams. I have been working in leadership for over 25 years. I got my first kind of leadership management job when I was 25 years old, and have really walked a winding path and relationship with leading and managing others that didn't start out great. I wasn't, I didn't love it. And I always just felt like what I was learning when I was being taught how to lead and manage people felt in some ways disingenuous, and it just didn't resonate in the way that I wanted it to with who I wanted to be in the world. And so once I kind of got into my own position and I really started to work with people, I had to kind of adopt my own system because what I had been taught and what other people were teaching me wasn't working. And so where you are with me today is at this sort of crossroads of where I finally realized, okay, I know I run a business. I run a 7-figure business. I have a team. I have to make hard decisions. I have to do all these things. And oh, by the way, I feel everything all the time. And for years, I was very depleted as a leader. And I thought it was the job's fault that I felt that way. And it wasn't until I saw that these two things could live together very happily. We could coexist. I can be an empath and I can also run a company and manage people and not be depleted. And so after pulling these things together, I just immediately wanted to share all of it with everybody in a way that maybe I haven't expressed it in the past. What I recognized is that all of the women, most of the women I've worked with in the past already fall in this category. And that's why they were so attracted to my work and continue to be so, because I teach processes for dealing with the emotional part of leading and managing people. And that's what I'm going to share little glimpses of with you today, and maybe some other ways that you haven't done in the past. But I want to make sure we're clear about what an empath is. And it was interesting because I had this conversation with a colleague the other day. An empath is someone who feels other people's feelings, sometimes hears and thinks or feels other people's thoughts. I really encourage you, if you're interested, to explore the whole world of empathy, empathicness, being an empath. There are empaths who can connect much more to animals. There's all sorts of different places that we all fall, right? And there isn't a right or wrong. But I was talking to my coach the other day, and one of the things that she said to me that I thought was so powerful, she gave me this whole story, a fable. It was a really good little story. I won't tell you the whole thing, but the moral of the story is that there was a little boy who saw something. He saw a dinosaur in his house or something, or a dragon, and his parents kept telling him there was no dragon. And the dragon kept getting bigger and bigger until everybody could see the dragon. But then the parents didn't want to feed the boy's story. So everybody ignored the dragon, even though the dragon was there. And the moral of the story was that one of the worst things we can do is dismiss the fact that people have feelings, dismiss what people see, dismiss what they feel. And I'm not going to do that. You get to keep all of it. This isn't about not feeling, ever. You get to keep who you are. But if you do feel other people's feelings, and that is hurting you, what do you want to do about it? I was having a conversation with my son. My oldest son is incredibly empathic, and he's also got, not surprisingly, a tremendous amount of social anxiety. And in my language, that's what they qualify it as, right? So he's got social anxiety. I'm like, no, you're just an empath. So he and I were talking about when he goes to a party, and this was a couple of years ago when he was about 17. And, 17-year-olds are already having a hot mess, all of them. right? But he would walk into a party and immediately get overwhelmed and want to leave, to the point where he would like get sick to his stomach, really, really strong responses. Couldn't talk, stuttered on his words. And we talked about how when he walks in, he's immediately bombarded with other people's energy and other people's feelings. And then he can't tell the difference between his and theirs. And so that was a refreshing perspective for him to even hear someone say that that's actually a thing. And so his body's response was just to shut down and to experience all this anxiety because he was suppressing so much emotion. He didn't know what to do with it. So that's what being an empath is. So then we put ourselves in these positions of being leaders in charge of companies where we're steering the ship. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to disappoint people. We're going to piss them off. We're going to make bad decisions. And then we're going to feel all of it. And what I don't want women to do who associate as empaths is to foster what I've watched happen, which is what we call learned helplessness. That you become a victim to your own superpower. Instead, let's just own it and then decide what we're going to do about it. Okay? So some truths that we need to tell. You experience the world differently than others in a way you may never be able to explain. I was having this conversation with a colleague. She's like, help me understand what that feels like. And I said, it's an immediate, I can see and feel all of it. I know exactly what's happening. And she's like, I don't experience it the same way as you do. But it was such a great conversation because I felt heard and not dismissed, because one of the biggest things that happens, I think, to people who are empaths is we are dismissed very quickly, that what we're feeling isn't true. You've developed coping mechanisms that may longer serve you. There will always be people who don't get it or understand you. Feeling others' feelings is not an excuse or reason to hide. You aren't too sensitive. Others don't have to change for you to feel better. Feelings are normal and can be experienced rather than worn. Hopefully that resonated for a few of you. Feelings are good. The goal is not to not feel. I don't know if that makes sense. The goal is to feel and not fear or unconsciously suppress or ignore that feeling. You have a superpower as an empath. That is the truth. Empaths are some of the bravest leaders on the planet. Leaders who are empaths have unique skills they must develop to lead without hurting or hiding. Leading and managing doesn't have to hurt, deplete, or exhaust you. Empaths are healers, and the world needs you right now more than ever.